bots overtook humans on the open web, like this one. In 2024, automated programs generated 51% of all web traffic, while people generated 49%. That does not mean half the people online are fake. It means the roads beneath the internet now carry more machine activity than human activity. And once machines produce the posts, inflate the applause, choose what reaches you, and summarize what you never visit, an unsettling question appears. How much of the internet in front of you still comes from another person? The answer is not the conspiracy you may have heard. It is more measurable than that. The internet is not empty. It is becoming a room where the humans are still talking, but the loudest voices, the visible crowd, and even the doorways between conversations are increasingly manufactured. You can watch this system working inside one of its strangest products, Shrimp Jesus. In 2024, researchers René DiResta of the Stanford Internet Observatory and Josh Goldstein of Georgetown University's Center for Security and Emerging Technology examined 120 Facebook pages. Each had posted at least 50 artificial intelligence-generated images. The pictures included log cabins built from bottles, children displaying impossible sculptures, veterans with too many fingers, and Jesus Christ assembled from crustaceans. Why would anyone make thousands of these? Because absurdity is cheap, attention is valuable, and the ranking system does not need to understand the picture. It only needs to detect a reaction. DiResta and Goldstein found pages using synthetic images to grow audiences, push people toward low-quality websites, advertise products that appeared not to exist, and coax personal details from commenters. Collectively, the images they studied had attracted hundreds of millions of engagements. One artificial image was among Facebook's 20 most viewed posts during the third quarter of 2023, reaching 40 million views. Some of it was shown to people who had never followed the page. That last detail matters. You did not choose the page. The page found the response that pleased the machine, and the machine chose you. This is where a bizarre internet legend begins turning into an analytical tool. On January 5th, 2021, an anonymous user called Illuminati Pirate published a sprawling post on Agora Road's Macintosh Cafe, a small online forum. The title claimed that most of the internet was fake. Its strongest version said the web had effectively died around 2016 or 2017 and had been replaced by bots, generated media, and a coordinated system of corporate or government manipulation. That is the dead internet theory. Is the full claim true? There is no credible evidence that a single hidden authority replaced the internet with one centrally controlled simulation. But the post carried a second idea beneath the conspiracy. The writer felt that familiar communities had disappeared. Search results had become repetitive, and public conversation no longer felt populated by distinct human beings. In August 2021, journalist Caitlin Tiffany brought the theory to a much larger audience in The Atlantic. She called the literal conspiracy absurd, but recognized why the feeling behind it had become persuasive. The useful way to examine the theory is to split it in two. The strong version says, someone deliberately killed the internet and replaced humanity with a coordinated illusion. The evidence does not establish that. The weaker version says, automated traffic, synthetic content, fake identities, engagement markets, and recommendation systems now mediate so much of online life that human activity can be difficult to find, verify, or financially sustain. That version can be tested, and the first measurement is enormous. Imperva, a cybersecurity company that has tracked automated web traffic for years, reported that bots and other automated systems produced 51% of web traffic in 2024. 37% of all traffic came from what Imperva classifies as bad bots, programs used for abuse such as scraping, account takeover, fraud, or inventory hoarding. The remaining automated traffic included legitimate tools such as search crawlers and monitoring services. Do you see the trap in the headline? 51% bot traffic does not prove that 51% of posts, accounts, or viewers are fake. A single scraper can request thousands of pages while one human reads one article. Traffic measures requests, not souls. But that correction does not make the number harmless. It reveals something more precise. The web's infrastructure is already being used primarily by machines, and a large share of that activity is adversarial. The second measurement is not traffic. It is content. Generative tools reduce the price of a competent paragraph, image, voice, or video towards zero. A person once needed time to write 10 articles. The content operation can now produce hundreds, translate them, test several headlines, and discard whatever fails. The machine does not need to create something loved. It needs one item that survives the recommendation filter. What happens when production becomes almost free, but human attention remains scarce? The competition stops being creator against creator. It becomes a person with a finite day against systems that never sleep. Patreon co-founder Jack Conte described part of this transformation in his 2024 South by Southwest talk, The Death of the Follower and the Future of Creativity on the Web. His argument was that the connection between a creator and a willing follower had been weakened by recommendation feeds. Following someone no longer guarantees that you will see that person's work. A ranking system stands between both sides and decides which item is most likely to hold attention now. That arrangement rewards prediction. If a synthetic picture earns comments, produce 50 variations. If outrage extends watch time, intensify the outrage. If a copied format succeeds, reproduce its surface until the audience tires of it. Can an original human voice compete? Yes, but it must compete inside a market where imitation can be generated faster than originality can be lived. This creates a loop. Machines generate content. Ranking machines test it. Automated or coordinated accounts can supply early engagement. The ranking machine interprets those signals as interest and shows the content to real people. Human reactions then train the next round. No secret committee needs to direct the process. Each participant can pursue an ordinary incentive, and the combined result can still resemble a conspiracy. Profit explains more than a hidden mastermind does. But commercial slop is only the low-stakes version. On July 9, 2024, the United States Justice Department announced that it had seized 2 domain names and searched 968 social media accounts connected to a Russian government-operated, artificial intelligence-enhanced bot farm. According to the court filings, the system created fictitious personas that often posed as Americans and distributed messages supporting Russian government objectives. These were not merely machines talking to machines. They were machines wearing human identities in order to influence humans. What does a crowd mean when software can assemble one? People use social proof because no one has time to investigate every claim. You look at what others endorse, repeat, or condemn. Most of the time, that shortcut is useful. But a bot network can counterfeit the evidence your shortcut depends on. 10,000 accounts do not need to persuade you individually. They need to make one position look normal, popular, or inevitable. The damage is not limited to false belief. It also produces doubt about true evidence. Once synthetic voices and faces become ordinary, any authentic recording can be dismissed as artificial. A liar gains 2 tools: manufacture an event that never happened, or deny an event that did. The internet does not have to convince you of one universal lie. It only has to make certainty feel impossible. Then the same loop reaches the institutions that fund original information. In March 2025, Pew Research Center collected browsing data from 900 American adults. Data science analyst Athena Chapekis and computational social science assistant Anna Lieb examined more than 68,000 Google searches. When an artificial intelligence summary appeared, users clicked a traditional search result in 8% of visits. Without a summary, they clicked 1 in 15%. Links inside the summaries received clicks in only 1% of visits. Why open the source when the answer has already been extracted and placed above it? For you, this can feel efficient. For the writer, researcher, newspaper, forum, or specialist site that produced the underlying material, it removes the visit that might have paid for the work. Search systems ingest human knowledge, synthesize an answer, and reduce the traffic returning to the people who made that answer possible. If the source disappears, what will the next answer consume? Increasingly, it may consume another machine. In July 2024, Nature published research led by Ilya Shumailov and Zakhar Shumailov on what happens when generative models train recursively on model-generated data. The researchers called the process model collapse. Across language models and other generative systems, indiscriminate training on synthetic outputs caused errors to accumulate and rare parts of the original data distribution to disappear. In plain English, the unusual details vanish first. Imagine copying a photocopy, then copying that copy. The bold central shapes remain recognizable, but faint handwriting, uneven textures, and strange marks disappear. Human culture lives inside many of those strange marks. A minority dialect, an obscure craft, an unpopular memory, a sentence no ranking model would have predicted. Does model collapse mean every artificial intelligence system is destined to become nonsense? No. The study examined recursive training under specific conditions, and it found that preserving original human data reduced the degradation. Synthetic data can also be useful when it is carefully designed and filtered. The warning is narrower. If generated material pollutes future training sets indiscriminately, models can progressively mistake their own compressed output for reality. That is the deepest version of the dead internet problem. It is not simply that machines may talk to machines, it is that machines may learn from machines, summarize machines, rank machines, and send the result to humans, while the original human record becomes harder to reach. Yet even this does not mean the internet is dead. Billions of people still message friends, publish research, argue in comment sections, teach skills, make art, and organize communities online. Many bots perform useful work. Recommendation systems sometimes introduce you to a creator you would never have found. Artificial intelligence can help a human express an idea rather than replace the idea. Would calling all of that fake help you understand anything? No. It would repeat the theory's original mistake, turning a structural change into an absolute claim. The internet is not a population count. It is an incentive system. If platforms reward volume, volume wins. If they reward reaction without caring how the reaction was produced, manipulation wins. If search engines take answers without returning attention to sources, fewer sources can afford to remain. If audiences treat polish as proof of humanity, automated polish wins. So what can you still trust? Not a blue check by itself, not a large follower count, not a crowded comment section, not the first answer in search. Those signals once acted as rough evidence that people had gathered, chosen, and endorsed something. Each can now be purchased, automated, or simulated. The stronger signals are slower, a named author with a traceable history, a claim linked to an original document, a creator who corrects mistakes in public, a community where participants recognize one another across time, a source that shows how it knows, not merely what it wants you to repeat. That is why real conversation increasingly feels most alive in smaller spaces. Private group chats, carefully moderated forums, member communities, and direct exchanges where identity accumulates through repeated contact. These places are not automatically truthful. Humans carried rumors long before bots existed. But trust there is relational rather than numerical. One familiar person can matter more than 10,000 anonymous reactions. The dead internet theory began with a lonely user asking where everyone had gone. Its conspiratorial answer was wrong because it imagined one hidden hand. Its intuition endured because no hidden hand was required. Automated traffic crossed 51%. Synthetic images reached people who never requested them. State-backed operators deployed fictional Americans. Search summaries reduced visits to the open web. Models trained carelessly on generated outputs began losing the edges of their data. None of these facts proves that humanity vanished. Together, they show that human presence is no longer the internet's default setting. It has to be demonstrated, protected, chosen. And the final irony is brutal. The more perfectly the machine imitates a person, the more valuable and imperfect accountable person becomes. Because the next question is no longer whether the internet died. It is who will build the places where a human voice can still be proved. Follow for the hidden market that sells convincing crowds, one account at a time.